Hello, hello. Thank you for those that are joining live. We will give people just a couple seconds to hop on. I am so excited for our guest today. Again, we'll give people a couple seconds to hop on before we go live. Okay, welcome to this week's episode of the Nonprofit Marketing Mastery Power Sessions. And I am so excited today to have what I would say, very special guest, Natalie Beck, join us. She is the president of the Heart of Illinois Community Foundation. And before we dive in and nerd out all about the future of marketing for community foundations, and honestly, the present and future of community foundations as a whole, I would love to share with you a little bit about Natalie. And Natalie, I don't know if you remember, I was trying to figure out when did I first meet her? And I think, and correct me, I think it was when I was training for my first half marathon and you were like a volunteer coach. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. So I was like, wow, that's wild. So I have had the pleasure, Natalie is the president of my hometown Community Foundation. And I've had the pleasure of knowing her before she took that role when she was the development director at the YMCA. I had a pleasure of knowing her as a human before I knew her in her professional role. And one of the, I have a few things to tell you about Natalie before we dive into the questions. The first thing is, as a leader, one of the things that happens, especially in the nonprofit space, is nonprofit leaders are usually visionary, or they're integrators. They're people that have ideas and are future thinking, or they are very focused in operations and they know how to make things work. And Natalie is, I believe, the perfect combination of both of these things. I've watched her in multiple places, and just through the way she carries herself in daily life, really inspire others, see a clear and strategic vision. She is very much a come alongside leader, which I personally love, as she's really good at motivating the people around her and sometimes in making them think it's their idea to make some action. But really it's inspirational. And I, as someone that is very much an integrator and knows how to make things work, but maybe isn't as visionary, I really love that she is both sides because she speaks my language very well. So excited to have Natalie here. I had to get her on. I was telling her before we hopped on that she was like my dream guest and I was nervous to ask her. So if I act a little nervous today, that's why. But thank you so much for joining, Natalie. And before we dive into the nitty gritty of community foundations, I'd love to hear, what was your first role in the nonprofit space?
I started in healthcare and worked at a local hospital and very much in the marketing there. And then I was on a lot of boards and volunteered and loved my job at the YMCA and learned a lot there. And really that is what I would say it's a launching point for me wanting to pursue the career I'm in now with the Community Foundation.
Awesome. And was there anything from your role to the YMCA, and maybe I'm putting words in your mouth. Typically people think of community foundations having one culture, YMCA having almost a directly different culture. Is there anything you learned in your role there that you feel like very much helped you in your role?
I would say that my time within the Y, and I'm a huge Y, I'm in the cult, if you will. I drink all the Kool-Aid. The Y to me is as communities should be. I love that every walk of life is represented at our YMCA's, that they are inclusive, that they help people with their mental health, their physical health, spiritual health. It all comes together there. And everything I learned there, I really brought to the Community Foundation. And I think that we in our sector need more of that. And so all the work you'll see that we're doing here at the Heart of Illinois Community Foundation is based on those same philosophies that I learned at the Y. So it very much transitioned me, and it is, it's my MO. It is my internal strategic plan that we bring our work in equity here to what we do with our grant making.
Awesome. And so you talked a little bit about work in equity, but I've noticed also, and maybe this is reflected, maybe it's not, that I know you recently went through a rebrand, but even before that, how many years have you been at the Heart of Illinois Community Foundation?
5 years. So
Five.
yeah,
I was trying to do my math. 5 years.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And I would say the voice and marketing strategy, I don't want to say shifted, I'll say have grown and developed under your leadership and stewardship. I'd like to hear a little bit more about what you think has changed, and I'll fill in, and kind of why you went through those transitions.
Well, first, on the rebrand, that's an ongoing. That's a hard ongoing, and anyone that considers that, and if you've been through it, you know certainly. So it is worth doing. We rebranded after expanding from one county to multiple counties that we serve, but it's everything. And every time you turn around, it's another logo that has to be changed or another spot on your website you've missed. I'm sure we're still missing some and catching up. We're redoing all of our brochures and all of our informational handouts, and so it is a lot. But I will say, for us, it was an opportunity for our team to come together, our board and our donors, and this is really who we're serving. And so we look at everything, and I know you do a lot of work with your clients. Who are we serving? Well, we're serving a geographic area, but our workforce is coming in from all around, and a lot of the workers didn't have the resources they needed, and so we were serving the nonprofit sector in one county, but we knew we had people living that didn't have access to those resources who were driving in every day. So we expanded, and as we roll that out, there are a lot of opportunities, but there also are a lot of challenges for us. And so every day is something new, and we continue to evolve. And I would say that won't be ending for a while. I think that, I don't know how long a typical rebrand goes. You probably know better than I do. But it's going to be with us for quite a while.
Yeah. And I think I loved hearing that, because one of the reasons nonprofits, I would say, in marketing don't make changes or don't shift to speak to their target audience is that it feels so overwhelming. And it sounds like you guys did. I'm sure you had a lot of partnership and support in the process, but like one stage at a time and starting is better than right. I always say doing nothing is a choice too, right? Staying is a choice.
I agree with you. Yeah. And it's not going to be done, our sign on our building, it's not in our budget right now, right? So it won't change. But the people that our social media, our website, the outreach, our grant making has already changed and expanded. And so we are being very strategic on how we do things and when we update it. And I think, you have to give yourself some grace. I would very much like to have everything done. I admit that. And you know me. I wish everything was done. I wish we had new signage. I wish we had new business cards, all that. But what really matters to our donors and to the nonprofits is that we're doing the work, and we are doing the work under the new name. And so that, you have to have some grace, and you have to have some sense of humor, because we'll think we have everything perfect, and then it's not.
There it is on the bottom of one website page where you missed it. Yes. And I will say, even for like marketers, and even when organizations, and I know you have a great infrastructure, I would say, for your size of community foundation when it comes to marketing. There's always room for growth. But even, if you had a full-time web developer, there would still be a logo missing somehow, right? Like,
yes, I'm sure.
So one of the things I believe that community foundations don't do a good job of, and I'm just going to say it, and I'm sorry for shaming them, is storytelling. And especially storytelling of the organizations and their grantees. Talk to me a little bit, because I think it's something you do well. And what made you decide to invest in it? How are you doing storytelling as an organization?
So I think that's one of the changes that I implemented immediately when I came. And I would recommend this to everyone that is working with you and that's listening today, is that when you really look at your social media and marketing as a whole, one of the things I noticed, I did an audit when I came of everything that the Community Foundation was putting out, and they weren't highlighting real people, and they weren't highlighting people that live in our community. So I would say immediately try and pull back on your use of stock photography. And we worked with a local camera club. We gave them a grant. We were able to use local photography that they already had in their Flickr accounts. And we built out our website using local images. And I think people, when they see themselves reflected in the materials, they're going to respond to you warmly. And so you'll see that any event we have, we do pay for photography. I think it's very important. We shoot some on our phones, but we want to have real photographs of real people that live in the counties we serve. And I think that is the big thing. So even at the Y, if I walk down the hall, I wanted to see pictures of the clients and the members at the Y. I think it's important. We're very proud of the people that we serve and very proud where we live, and they should be reflected in our marketing. So that was the first thing you'll see in our changes that we made, and you'll see that if you look at our materials today. We're very good about showing real people and real situations and real joy.
Yeah, and real joy. Joy. Yes, I think that's a new word for community foundations, and I'm sorry. Joy.
Well, I think it is an opportunity, and we'll talk about it, I'm sure, but we have regular segments. We have a media schedule we work. We do 2 posts a day, Monday through Saturday on social media, 1 on Sunday. That's always our goal. Those are planned out 6 weeks in advance. And one of the things we added is a program called Grants in Action. And so we would always give the big check photo, right? You see that a lot. And we're out making a grant. Well, what we wanted to do was circle back and ask for photos of the grants when they are actually put into action, if you will. So, for example, tomorrow we're out with the local Boy Scouts. We're doing a photo shoot because we gave them a grant for a van. And then we're being invited out to see students using that new STEM van. And then that's another opportunity for success. It's another opportunity to feature young children. We'll feature the nonprofit. And so we look for those opportunities to continue telling the story of what funding is doing.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure for individuals that are trying to figure out where do they want to put their money and legacy planning, that seeing the impact you make also. I mean, it's multi-purpose, right?
Right, it is. And then another thing we added that we're very proud of, we added a wish list. So again, to your point, how do we connect the donors' wishes and what their intent is, what they feel good about supporting philanthropically, to what's needed in our community. So we have a wish list by county, and donors can get on there and they can enter a word to search for if they want to do education, if they want to do childcare, summer camp, and they can make a donation. And they don't have to go through the community foundation. We certainly will help them, but we've had over $250,000 in granted wishes, and that's just highlighting the need. And so that's another post we regularly share. This is a nonprofit that has a need. It's outside of their current budget. Maybe we can find someone to grant their wish and give them funding.
And I will say with your wish list, and I'll speak as someone that is pretty networked with the nonprofits, and as Natalie has worn this hat before and is now collaborating alongside nonprofit leaders, they never have enough time. And one of the things I think your team has done a wonderful job of is making the wish list legitimate, a priority, inspiring, somewhere. If a nonprofit takes the time, they're likely to get gifted.
Yes.
And so people want to. So maybe some community foundations are watching this and they're like, well, we have a list on our website. There's a difference between a list somewhere and like a tool that is used. And I think you do a wonderful job of using it as a marketing, but a tool.
Yeah. It brings us a lot of joy. And we love doing the matchup and going out and telling the nonprofits that their wish has been granted, and seeing their reaction and then how they implement that wish. It's very meaningful in what we do, and it gives our donors great joy.
Yeah. So I'm gonna sidestep and ask you a question that's not here, because I just really want to. So a lot of community foundation leaders might not be from the marketing background, right? You have a marketing background, I would say, first, right?
Correct.
What would you say to maybe a community foundation president that's like, marketing, like it's not my thing. Like I'm a financial planner first. I know how to have those conversations. How would you maybe walk them into the future of nonprofits when it comes to marketing?
Well, we all have our strengths, right? And I have an amazing vice president who is my financial guru, Missy Batman. So I think that everybody looks at what you're very comfortable in. But for me, there is a joy in giving. And I think all likely presidents of community foundations feel that. And the connection, and I really see us as bridge makers in our communities. So if you embrace that role, telling the story and breaking it down, because there is kind of stereotype, if you will, that foundations are off-putting. And we certainly don't want that. We want to be of the people. We have donors who regularly give $2, a paycheck. We are embracing of all levels of giving because we know when you add it up, which is what a community foundation is for, and build endowments, we can really help people for years and years to come. So my advice to anyone in a role, in any role, is just be able to tell your story. I think marketing is the most important thing we do, and being able to articulate how you help people. And the flip side of that is being a good listener, because the stories that I pick up from all of my, people that I work with, that I pick up from all the nonprofit leaders, they get on your heart. I mean, they're in your spirit. They make me want to do a better job. And so that's also marketing, is how do I share those needs with the donors? How do I lift others? I just don't think you can accomplish it without a really good marketing plan.
Yeah, and a nonprofit marketing nerd, we call that the goosebumps test, right?
Yes.
Does the impact story like really give? And honestly, when Natalie was talking about the future of community foundation marketing, especially for non-marketing as leaders, I was getting goosebumps. So I think Natalie just passed the goosebumps test. Thank you for inspiring me, and I'm sure others watching to really, maybe switch their brains about like how to process impact, not just from experiencing themselves, but to communicate it with others. I'd love to hear about one of your favorite, I'm a big fan of what I call mini campaigns, and it's something, I don't know, that's probably not what you call it in your marketing plan, but you do a lot of, you talked about your wish list. Is there something, I think you talked about your wish list, you talked about I don't remember the term, the grant spotlight, and then circling back
grants in action.
Grants in action.
Yeah.
Share another mini campaign that you've done. You do so many. I
think if you start to follow us, you'll see a pattern. So, for example, a mini campaign is every Tuesday we're on a local radio station live. So that means every Monday there's a promo. Every Tuesday you share the radio interview. And if there's related content, we push that on Wednesday. So we really work this calendar. And that's a mini campaign, because when we're looking out 6 weeks out, we're already scheduling our guests, and those might cycle into a grant cycle that's going on. Or like this week, we're giving out $100,000 in EMS grants because it's National EMS Week. And while I don't fall into using all the national days, they are a tool for you to market. And if you're very selective, I think you can get big bang out of them. I do try and bring one in about every 6 weeks, so that we tie into a national to show the impact. And so this is a week when we're doing that. And if you're stuck sometimes in marketing, that's a great place to start, in my opinion. And so those are good examples of how we work our plan. We really want to be at the individual level. So when we do a grant story, like tomorrow, you'll see we're out at a fire department. We're really going to focus on the firemen and the grant we're giving and what it's for, because we want people to understand that while you're not the recipient of this grant, you're certainly going to be a beneficiary, because it's going to help all of our community as the firemen train with new equipment.
And just now you connected the dots, I think, for us, right? Here's this money, this is where it's going, this is the impact on the community. And I see that regularly in your marketing.
Right.
And in even like this, this money isn't going to the organization. This money is going for this social good that the organization is stewarding. And I hope
think that the numbers, that's another off-putting thing, right? We talk big numbers. We talk a lot of the community foundations. We belong to an alliance in Illinois. There are over 38 community foundations in that group. We talk about millions of dollars, right? But when we talk in our community, if we're giving out, for example, last year, $7 million, and that's in scholarships and grants and tuition payments and all these great, wonderful things, that can be overwhelming. So I always want you to think, oh, I know that person. I know someone that goes there for services. I know a student that graduated from this high school that went to college because of them. That's the connection I want to make. I want to break it down in a very personal level, because the figures can get, in my mind, very high level. And that's not what we want. It's important to us to show impact, but I want to show it at a very individual level.
Yeah. And I think it's, okay. I want to jump to, I see we're at 19 minutes, and I promised Natalie I wouldn't hold her for more than 25. So if you do have any questions for Natalie, feel free to drop them in the chat box. I'm going to ask you kind of a big picture question. What do you see as the future of community foundations as it relates to marketing?
Well, I think you're seeing a big shift in community foundations. We are getting into new areas of funding. And by that, I mean, you'll see us more in the workforce development. You'll see us helping entire areas within a community, perhaps a business venture, and the way that our funding is working. And so there are a lot of regulations on that. For example, here we just launched in the last year an adult scholarship program, very new, where we're offering scholarships to people that are over 22 years old, non-traditional students that are going back to college. To me, that's very forward thinking and very much in that workforce development area. So venture capitalism, I think all along the equity piece, you see a lot of foundations moving into that and really bringing nonprofit leadership into that. Either it could be that we are paying for trainings, we are advocating on behalf of different organizations, that we're asking different people to assume leadership positions. We do a lot of work in supporting board development. So all those things come together in saying that the community foundation is only as strong as its community. And that's a truth that we all have to embrace. So again, any marketing we do, we're out there saying, we love where we live. We want you to live here. We want you to give here. And that really is that overall arching message.
Awesome. Okay, so out of respect for time, first, if you are watching and you're a nonprofit, please forward this to your local community foundation, so they can kind of get some of the information. I know I'm still like, oh, I want to make sure the whole world of community foundations hears everything that just came out of Natalie's mouth. So if you're a nonprofit, please forward it on. If you're a community foundation professional, I see a couple of you joining via LinkedIn. Feel free to comment with any questions you might have after the fact, or slide into my messages and I will ask Natalie afterwards. Maybe you want to talk a little offline. But Natalie, we do have questions that I ask every single attendee and guest of the Nonprofit Marketing Mastery Power Sessions. What's something nonprofits do in their marketing that makes you cringe?
Not plan. Not plan. To go live on their social media feeds and not have planned what they're going to say, to not have the camera oriented correctly, to have it be, blacking in and going out. And I think if you go live, plan it. And there is nothing better than a great video right now. I think video has really stepped up in how we communicate, but you do need to take some time and get it right. It can backfire on you. For me, it really comes down to planning our week in marketing. You have so many stories to tell. Take the time to sit down and this is a person I want to feature. Get a great photo of them. Ask them for a quote. Look for some impact. Share it, and then build from there. The posts that are just pre-made or not individualized, I don't think they do that much good for your organization.
Yeah, I'm sure you've seen that the Canva graphics are slowly removing the connectivity we as humans have via nonprofit marketing. So what's one thing you talked about planning? Is there anything else you wish more nonprofits did with their marketing?
And I think you need to invest. So whether that be in training, certainly start there. In the tools you're utilizing, you talked about Canva, but have the best available at your budget level and utilize it, because they are great tools. They give you great results with very fast turnaround. So if you don't know how to use them, though, then you are setting yourself back. So invest in training, whether that's individualized or the software or digital program you're using. I think that is the first step.
Yeah. Okay, and then I want to thank you again so much. I promised you less than 25 minutes. I'm going to stick to it, but I want to thank you so much for coming on. If people are curious about the Heart of Illinois Community Foundation, where can they learn more and kind of see what you guys are doing?
So obviously online, Heart of Illinois Community Foundation. We're on social media, on Facebook. You can find us on LinkedIn and our website. So
awesome. Well, thank you so much again for letting me pick your brain, Natalie. And for those of you joining in, if you are too scared to ask Natalie a question. I'll put it that way. Go ahead and slide into my DMs and I'll make sure she gets it. So thank you so much for joining,
Thank
Natalie.
you for having us.
And have a great day.
Thank you.